Here's the book, Professor.
Thank you, Twinkle. This story is set in the United States of America, not far from the city of Seattle. Silhouetted on the skyline is one of Washington State's most famous landmarks, Mount Rainier. Just at the foot of the mountain lies NorthWestTreck. Here a man and his wife dared to dream after a dreadful fire reduced much of the forest to ashes. And sometimes dreams do come true. Dr. David Hellier and his wife Connie stumbled across this land in 1937 while on their honeymoon.
Believe it or not, some of this land we were able to acquire for $4.50 an acre. It looked about like that at that time.
We've seen how incredibly quickly the land can heal itself after almost total devastation. It seemed almost miraculous.
And then I suppose it came rather gradually to me that as I'd ride around here on my horse and whatnot, that cattle weren't really what this land looked like. We'd ride over the ridge and down into the swamp, the lily pads and whatnot. That was moose habitat, ideal moose habitat. And where the timber came down in the middle of these meadows, that's where a herd of elk ought to be coming out and grazing instead of black Angus cattle. And so the idea struck me then that this was habitat, suitable habitat for almost all American species of wildlife in 1 square mile. And so that's where the idea was born.
Yes, and every animal has its own special seasonal behavior. During autumn or fall, many animals are just coming into rutting or mating season.
That's my favorite feed then. That's my favorite feed then.
When they grow, they're covered with this soft material they call velvet, and inside there's tissue and blood vessels, feeding the antler, to making it grow. Then when they're fully grown, the blood quits flowing, material hardens, the velvet falls off, and then you have that bone-type antler, and that's what they use for their battle in the rutting season.
Hey, amigos, you get more chick doing the lambada.
The king of this animal wilderness is the bison, the American buffalo that once roamed the plains in massive herds.
That roar you hear, it's his voice of authority. That's telling these cows and the other bulls around, it's telling you and I that he's the boss out here. He's in charge. He's fought his battles to win this harem, and plans on keeping it, and that roar lets these other animals know that he's in charge. The elk are the only animal out here in this park that knows what this whistle is for. I've trained them to associate it with feed. So whenever I have a general idea where they're at, yet I can't see them, I blow this whistle. And within maybe 2 to 5 minutes, they're out, can see me, and then I lead them off to where I want to feed them.
These are Roosevelt elk, named after the American president Theodore or Teddy Roosevelt, who used to come hunting elk in this area.
The thing that's fascinated me the most has been the difference in the mothering. For instance, the caribou are very poor mothers, care very little about their babies, almost walk away from them, whereas the goats, the mountain goats, are superb mothers.
On the other side of the park, the bears are very laid back. Smell is a bear's keenest sense, probably better than a bloodhound's. A bear's sensitive nose can detect the odor of an elk carcass or the scent of a rich supply of nuts and berries up to 50 or 60 kilometers away. Grizzlies like these eat meat, fish, and plant food, but the black bears eat more vegetation, nuts, berries, roots, and tubers as well. The grizzly is truly a wild American. A healthy bear population is a good indicator of an unspoiled wilderness, but sadly, the grizzly is now a threatened species in every state, except Alaska. But here, there are so many different types of Native American animals, including wolves, which, contrary to their fairy tale image, are never aggressive. As you can see, NorthWestTreck is truly the result of this devoted couple's lifetime dream to restore this land, so animals can roam free. No bars, no cages.